to the This Is Metal Show. My name is Jason J. Rock Houston. My co-host, as usual, is Tom Collier, the guitar player, founding member, and principal songwriter of the band Held Hostage. And also, Tom is the president of Fire Rock Music. And our two guests today is lead singer Godron Titsworth and drummer Steve Dorssom from the band Images of Eden. I've had the privilege of interviewing these guys several times in the past. Big supporter of what they do. And gentlemen, I guess the best place to start is you just recently released a new single, Here Comes the Sun. So let's talk about the new single and how you chose that song to cover.
Okay, well, Gordon, I guess I'll start this off, and then
you go, man. This is you, brother.
You can kind of ice it up from there. But so your question is how we came up with this song. Well, I'll tell you. We weren't trying to come up with a cover song to remake. That was not even in our mindset whatsoever. This time last year, we were kicked off the European W.A.S.P tour after 3 shows. Pretty big accomplishment, a lifetime in the working for us to work to make that happen, to go over to Europe and tour. And we toured the United States about 3 times. And we wanted to go to Europe to test it out.
Yeah,
we finally got over there. We got the invitation, and we got there. And we'll get into that more in a little bit. But we got dismissed from the tour blindly. We were heartbroken. We were crushed. We
can imagine
what was happening. We had to take emergency flights and come home.
Wow.
Just to cut to the story, and we'll get to that. But just to cut to your question, we were miserable. We went out for an event of our lifetime that we worked very, very hard for. We were very excited to do it, and we had to come home like that.
Wow.
My hours were all off. Gordon can attest to that. We were all out of whack, because of the time differences. So I was up at 2 a.m. wide awake, trying to get back to normal. I'm sitting on my back patio. It's totally dark out. I was heartbroken.
Sure.
I really didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to feel, how to react. I was really stunned, and the wind was totally taken out of me, all of us.
Yeah.
And so I'm sitting there on my back porch in pure darkness. Everybody inside's asleep in my family. And I'm trying to find positivity because that's what we're all about. That.
Sure.
Try to find the positive out of every disaster or bad thing or negative thing. And I was trying to do that. And it was really hard. And I was just like, well, the sun started crusting up over the cactuses here in Arizona. It was a beautiful scene, actually. But and I was like, well, you know what? Here comes the sun. Here's a new day. Let's just start a new day. Let's try to feel better. Let's try to find some positivity out of it. And then I caught myself, well, hold on a minute. Wait a minute. Here comes the sun. Well, of course I know that old classic song, Here Comes the Sun. But that's very interesting. It's coming to my mind right now. I'm on my back porch praying for some hope here and praying for some direction. And boom, that thing hit me. Here comes the sun. I questioned myself. I'm like, that might be something we need to do,
God's trying to tell us something.
Yeah. And then, so anyway, that the song kind of came in my head, the metal style that we wanted to remake that song with. It came into my head. I'm like, this fits our MO. This is it right here. I mean, I call Gordon. I go, Gordon, hear me just for a minute. I got a crazy, crazy idea, but just hear me out for a second, And I explained to him the kind of the feeling I got and kind of the tap on the shoulder and the smack in the face that I got that day. And he was like, wow, that's a cool idea, and let's talk about it. It took a while to start feeling better, but we finally talked about it. Gordon and I put it together, threw it out to the guys, and they did their part. And I think we got a home run out of it.
Oh, definitely. Now, Tom, I know you were checking out this song too. So what are your immediate thoughts on their version of the Beatles song, Here Comes the Sun?
Well, I loved it because of the fact, they kind of kept it the same, but they made it their own. And when a band does that, it's just the coolest thing in the world. Lots of bands can't do that. They either copy it to the T or they make it their own. And you guys took it to the next level and made it your own, but you still knew the song. And to me, as a president of a record label, when I hear a band do that, I go, wow. And I also listen to the Triumph tune too. I love the way you guys did Fight the Good Fight too. So kudos to you guys for doing that. I see the success in you guys.
Well, let me jump in here, man. I really appreciate that, Tom. That's awesome. And I want to piggyback on what Steve was saying, and glad you brought up the Triumph tune. Steve had both of these ideas. They kind of hit him in different ways. The Triumph, Fight the Good Fight, and in this song. And I remember when he presented Fight the Good Fight, I remember thinking, I love that song. I have no idea what it's going to sound like when we do it. so I'm like, I'm going to have to throw some paint on the canvas and see if any of it sticks. And that was a very successful cover based on people's feedback. So I was like, okay, phew, because I was nervous. But when Steve said, all right, let's do Here Comes the Sun, I'm like, love that song.
Yeah.
Even less of an idea how we're going to make it happen. but when Steve and I talked it through, it was cool. I was like, okay, I got this. But I was hearing a twist. And I was like, we have to throw a little curveball in there. And the cool thing about this song, when Steve brought it up, I grew up with the Beatles. My mom had always had the Beatles playing, kind of the mop top Beatles, but I got into their later stuff like Rubber Soul and Forward, and really just started listening to their catalog, and I was really intrigued by a lot of it. And I love the Revolver album, and it hit me. Grab Eleanor Rigby, because it was See If It Fits. I put it right before the bridge, in the guitar solo, and it just happened to be a perfect key change that sounded fluid. So I said, I have to keep that. But now we're like, okay, we only have probably about a 10-second interval for our guitar player, our brand new guitar player, to kind of prove what he can do. So I said, okay, we're going to run the Eleanor Rigby vocal verse riff 2 times through and really give Jeff some real estate. I sent it to Steve. He said, we're done. That's it. So, it's one of those ideas where like, man, I have no clue. And that I just sit on it and I try, but it's crazy when you're I don't even have a remote idea. But
I almost had the same reaction as Tom, in the sense that I've been quoted saying probably as metal as the Beatles ever got is probably Helter Skelter.
Yeah.
And so again, you're covering a Beatles song, and so maybe a metal band, you think they're going to cover something like Helter Skelter. And I love the fact, first of all, you didn't go for the obvious choice. And if you go and listen to the original version of this song, Here Comes the Sun, it's a little more of the Beatles version, of course, a little more of a pop radio tune, and it's great in what it is. But I love the fact, like Tom said, you really own this song. You I don't know if you want to say you rocked it up, you metalized it, but you did it. You put the images of Beat stamp on it, and it's not. And I can tell it's not the original arrangement. It's something a little different, and that's what's cool about it. That's what makes it really stand out.
Yeah, I would say that. When we're putting these together, we definitely want to do the original artist right. We don't want to stomp and twist and tear up his stuff. We always try to keep that, and it's a hard thing to do, right, Gordon? I mean, we try to take that balancing line just with keeping the respect there, but then also trying to make it our own. And I don't know how we do that, but we're aware of that. I think with being aware of that, we watch what we do, but then we also just open our hearts and let it come out the way it comes out. This wasn't a really difficult task for Gordon and I to lay this demo out together. We kind of knew what we wanted, and then Gordon had that great idea for the Eleanor Rigby insert, which I think it just makes the whole song. I mean, it's our favorite part, you know what I mean? So I'm glad we did that, and I'm glad I listened, and we listen to each other. That's the thing. We listen to each other, and we see if it works out, and that's what's good about this band. That's why we can capture some things like this, because
and I'll tell you this too. I was messing with the song a little bit more, Steve, before I sent it to you, because I wanted to venture off into something unexpected. And I was going to take it down. I had the Eleanor Rigby part, and then I actually started I actually started going in Tomorrow Never Knows, the last song off of Revolver. And that was their really trippy song. And I thought, I listened to it and I was like, it doesn't have the same feel. I would love it if we could make that work, because I like the trippier, wackier later Beatles stuff anyway. And that song's just so wacky it wasn't going to work. So I said, okay, let me trim it down. But the thing is, man, you have no idea how many times we threw paint on the canvas, had to cover it up, threw more paint on. It's fun though. I mean, it's what we do.
Sure. But I'll tell you this too. It's like that song found us. We were not looking for it. It's really organic. And I know that sounds kind of cliche when I say that, but it's the God honest truth. I mean, we were in misery. Our hearts were broken. We didn't know what to do. Honestly, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know if I was going to keep going. That's where I was at. We were all in a bad place. but I was looking for something. That's what we do. We
we found
pay
it. And again,
attention. We pay
it's
attention.
crazy
I
to
was looking.
sound, Steve. You know, as they say, the old saying goes, everything happens for a reason. And
Yeah.
of course,
Yeah.
you would have much rather stay on that tour. It would have been great business for you guys.
Yeah.
But things happen. And you know what? Maybe if that hadn't happened, we wouldn't have this great tune we're talking about, you know?
Well, it's absolutely true. I mean, if that didn't happen, we probably wouldn't have even touched that, you know?
And I can honestly tell you, Tom, that these guys are, you know, a lot of times when, you know, bands, you know, putting on an album, hey, the typical thing is to do is, hey, let's find a great cover. And, but Images of Eden, I can honestly say, is not one of those bands in the sense that these guys write such great tunes as far as original material. They're not really in that need to do that cover, but look at what they gave us when with Here Comes the Sun, you know?
Yeah, we just like to inspire people. We like to inspire people and heal ourselves. I mean, just talking about all this stuff is therapy for me, for all the pain we had to go through, you know, and just getting it out and being done and moving on.
And it really is business in the sense that, you know, when something like that happens, I mean, you're going to you're in Europe, you're kind of in Europe, and you're making plans to go to all these different countries throughout Europe and be on tour for a couple of weeks or whatever the case may be. And then 3 days into it's like, oh well, forget what we told you. You need to figure out how you're going to get home, and that's a big issue, you know.
Yeah, it is. It's you know, with our stature of our current band state, I mean, we're not Guns N' Roses or anything where everybody's picking up the tab for you, and if something like that happens, you just walk off and say, "Oh well, we'll hit the next one." But we're at this level, you know. We pay for a lot of things, you know, and a lot of it's on us initially until we make it back and roll through the tour, you know. So with that being said, not only did we get an opportunity and a rug pulled out from under us, but it financially crippled us too. At the
Can
same
you guys
time.
get into the details about exactly? I mean, what were you told as far as that 3 days into why you were kicked off a tour?
Oh, Gordon, I'll let you rattle that one off a little bit.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's kind of funny. It's kind of a long-winded story. It started off, there was something that happened each night. The first night, the crew didn't get the memo that we had a 40-minute set and tried to throw us off early. And, you know, so as you can see, there was really, really bad communication from the very beginning. And that kind of led to some sour feelings, I'm sure. Second night, one of the guys from the crew walked up to Steve and said, "Hey, just so you know, the boss doesn't like it when his crowd cheers too much for the opening band." Now, you can read right in between the lines right there.
Okay.
Tone it down, guys. Tone it down. And we're like, and Steve told me, I was like, he's adorable, man. Did he really think we flew 2,500 miles to phone it in? I said, no, man. I said, we're going to give it everything we've got. I mean, you ain't need to wheel me off stage and heart paddle me if, you know, and if I
thought he was just jokingly poking at me, or I was like, oh, okay, whatever, you know, and just went on.
Yeah.
I didn't think about it till the after fact, but go on, Gordon.
Then the third night, you know, everything went fine. You know, Steve and I stayed. We were watching the show, and one of our guys jumped into the photographer pit crew and took some footage of Blackie. Now, if you've seen Blackie on stage, he's got this demonic monstrosity that's basically covering his face. You know, and you know he's got some footage, and then right after that, the W.A.S.P crew sent their cronies out like, I mean, you think they were like Men in Black jumping out of Suburbans to shut this guy down and make him remove everything off of his phone. So my question is, what did he capture that they didn't want him to see? I'll leave it at that.
And so that was the breaking point right there. Yeah, that was it. So they came running out and said, "You're off the tour. Get out now. Goodbye." And they started grabbing our gear and literally putting it all to the curb, dude. I mean, right at midnight in Norway. I mean, literally taking our stuff and throwing it outside. Get out now. We're like, whoa, what's wrong?
Okay.
You guys are breaking all the rules. You got to go before you make it any worse. I'm like, breaking what rules? What rules? I asked you guys for a rule book for 3 months, and everybody said you'll be fine and everything's cool. Just okay. So I don't know what to say. We were baffled, you know.
Well, so there you go. So Tom, I'm gonna throw it to you. Do you have any questions for the guys?
Yeah, I do actually. Let me I gotta put my glasses on for a second. Right?
I need those too.
Okay. I got like 30 pairs of them. I just gotta find them. But I know what you guys mean. I've been out on tour before with major bands, and I've toured with everybody out there, you name it. In fact, I'll be back. I was just at the Metal Hall. I brought Jason as my guest to the Metal Hall. I was at Metal Allegiance, all these guys. I've been out with Megadeth, you name it. So I know when the headliner gets their nose bent, they're looking for a scapegoat. And so I'm just going to say that I've seen this before. We were out in the festival, and the fucking headliner, and I'm sorry to say that, turned the PA off on us because the crowd was going nuts. And he just kept playing. The guys really, I said, just keep giving it to him. I went over and turned our amps up. I said, hit the drums harder. We just kept going, scream louder. So I know exactly what happens when headliners get to be babies. So we've had crazy shit like that happen to us. But I see you guys were out with a friend of mine. You guys were out with Nick Marino from Yngwie Malmsteen.
Oh yeah, Nick.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I just signed Nick to a record deal. His record releases with my record label on July 19th. What a great guy.
Nice. Really good guy, man.
Oh,
awesome
he is.
Guy.
He's fantastic. I love him. He's actually
great singer, great player, great singer.
Oh yeah, he just messaged me. He's in Singapore right now.
Okay.
They're in Singapore, and I think they're going over to Japan, Australia. Comes home and then goes back to Europe, and then we release his album in July. But
that's awesome. But anyways,
isn't he a great guy?
He is. I just messaged him actually yesterday, and I was wondering why he wasn't returning my message. But that's why.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. He's okay. 12 hours ahead of us right now. Okay, that's great. I figured you guys. Nick is such a personal guy, but that's what I love about the people we've been bringing on our label. Is people that actually want to work with us, and just he's fantastic. But
nice.
What did you? So I was going to ask you guys what you think of him, but I can see you guys really liked him.
Yeah, we got along with Nick great, and one of our friends, Julian, actually was the driver for Yngwie and the band and everything. So we kind of helped him out with that, and they became really close. And he always waited, for when we got done or before we played to come and talk to us. He was always wanting to talk to Gordon because he likes Gordon's vocals. So he's always asking Gordon about how he writes his songs and stuff like that. And a really good guy. I mean, the last we spoke on the Yngwie tour, like we were fist bumping and said, hey man, let's tour together sometime soon. So, but we all get busy and do our things. But yeah, that would be awesome if we could ever jam with those guys again, because I really like Nick. He's a real dude.
But he has his own band, NZM. So we're putting out NZM.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's what I'm
saying. Got some great songs. And his single releases, I think we're releasing it June 14th, and the album's July 19th. But
just phenomenal players, phenomenal.
Oh my God. He's a great singer too, I've had a chance to work with, I've worked with some great singers too, from Mark Lopes to Tim Ripper Owens to Joe Lynn Turner sang on my album. So I've been out there, and I tell you, your singer's a great singer too.
Yeah, he is. He's
got some with that Triumph cover. I was like, how's he going to pull this off?
And the funny thing, Gordon's not even really a singer; he's a guitar player.
Well, I'm on tour,
I love to say that.
When I'm on tour, I end up singing myself too. Like if the singer goes down, I end up being the lead singer. It depends on who's there. Like Ripper and I, some nights we'll just switch back and forth. But I know,
Tom, it's kind of funny because what Steve is saying. When I was 13, I picked up a guitar. I had no intentions of ever wanting to sing. I said, absolutely not. My guitar teacher even said, you should work on your voice to kind of get a backup vocals voice. I said, you're crazy. No, it's never going to happen. Never. I'm saying never, and it's never going to happen. Now, well, and then, but I don't know where I was going with this. So, yeah.
But he became a singer. It found him, and he became a great singer. And the great thing is he's a great guitar player, so that really helps writing our records and doing our demos. I mean, he does it all.
Silly question, Gordon. Do you think of yourself more as a guitar player? And
no, I used to. No, I think of myself as a singer. When we are actually playing live, I'm the singer, and that's real. That's it. When it comes to writing material, I learned guitar when I was 13, and got. And that was my primary instrument. Kind of funny though, after time, I wanted to I was intrigued by bass. I said, how does this rank up? What's it like, bass versus guitar? And then I started really, because we had a really cool drummer back then who was kind of Neil Purdy, like, for as high school as you can get, as good as you can get for being in high school. And I was really intrigued by his drumming. And so then I wanted to learn drums. So I got working knowledge of drums. And then I was like, we could never find a singer in our band. So I said, let me see if I have any kind of voice at all. And so I said, well, it's enough to at least get me started. Then later on, I needed ambient keyboard tracks, and I learned that. So I did learn all the instruments, and that does help when it comes to actually writing the new material. Sure. Because I do primarily write on guitar, but I actually hear the whole song in my head. So I can lay down what I'm hearing in all the instruments. So that was a really valuable thing that I did. I do play all the heavy rhythm guitar on all of our releases. So in Here Comes the Sun, I am doing the heavy chunk. Jeff, our lead guitar player, is playing the lead, but or the leads. but all the chunking, that's me.
I think the cool thing about that, being able to play different instruments, or at least having the knowledge of being able to, is it gives you a better understanding for what the other guys in the band are doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it
Does.
also gives them ideas too of what Gordon's thinking. Like, I'm thinking of something like this, and then that person will take off with that, and and make it their own along what he was giving them the idea for. So yeah, it helps everybody.
And actually, Gordon, my friend Tom here, he shared with me in the past that he started out as a drummer too.
Yeah, I play drums. I play, sing, bass, everything. So when I write our albums, I write all the music for my band. I play all the instruments, send it to everybody. I record in my home studio, and then have them make it their own. I say, here's the ideas I have.
Yeah,
exactly what we do.
Yeah, same thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
So of course we got the new single out, you guys. Now, what's next? I mean, are you working towards a full release, an EP? What's the plan?
Yeah, I'll jump in that. Yeah, actually, the entire next album is already written. So what we're gonna do is once we get home from tour, we're gonna just start making it happen. I mean, think of it's a big canvas and it's all penciled in. So now we're gonna throw the paint on it. Yeah, it's a full length. I mean, it's kind of like Angel Born and Soul Rise. When you get an album from us, man, you're getting 65 plus minutes, and grab a beverage and put your feet up, because we're not really into kind of phoning it in or to kind of, I wasn't even, totally crazy about doing an EP, because I was like, oh man, us, we're overachievers. And I felt like an EP, that's going to be too easy.
I'm with you, Gordon, because I'm an old school guy. I grew up like you guys did when used to go to a record store. There used to be a place, folks, where you could go and buy your music like online, but I used to love to look at the album covers and the beautiful artwork and all that. And I'm with you. I'd much rather have like a 10-track album than an EP. But let's be honest, that's the way most bands are doing it these days. And you're lucky if you even have a band that's willing to put out new music, Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we're going full blown 12 songs, about 66 minutes, 67 minutes. So, yeah.
I mean, even the last EP, Weathered and Torn, I mean, it was an EP, but I tell you, it was a heavy dose of, it seemed like a full album. I was not like, oh man, this is not disappointed for sure,
Yeah, it was a 5-song EP, and it was like when we did that, we went heavy on purpose. We were steering it towards the heavier version of IOE, and of all the anger and aggression everybody had from the pandemic, and everybody had feelings, and we were mad too, and it was an aggressive album, and it was also, we knew that Europe liked the heavier stuff. We wanted to do a heavier EP to show that we're right there, and so it's another reason we did that as well. But yeah, like Gordon said, we're full meal deals, when we do records, and that's the way we like to do it. But this was an exception. It was just a piece of time in our timeline that we did. So,
and how scared were you guys? Like a lot of entertainers at the time of the prospect. I mean, you had people saying, even here in California, where I'm from, we have a governor was like getting on TV talking about, as long as I'm in power, there's never going to be any live concerts ever again. Thank God, it did not come to that. But if you're a working musician and that's how you make your bread and butter, there had to have been that thought of, oh my God, what do we do now?
It was a scary time for everyone. Scary time for everyone. We didn't know what was going to happen. And this is right when we were turning the corner, we felt. And it's like, well, this is great. So, yeah.
And so, do you think the album will be released first? And because you said you guys are currently on tour, so where are you touring now? Just kind of locally?
No. We're going to be going out. Actually, in August, we're going out. We're doing 7 shows with Soil in Europe. And when we get home, we're going to start, kind of piecing together, getting the assembly line. And Tom, you would totally understand the assembly line. You do the demo and you kind of just send it down the pike. And, what I'll do is I'll send it to Steve. He'll put his real drums on it. Cause I've just got, the phoned in kind of program drums.
Sure.
Yeah. Easy drummer. So Steve will do his real thing. And then when Steve does his parts, I'm going to tweak the guitar and do the final guitar as everybody else is doing their parts, as, Eric's playing the bass. The other guys are doing all their parts. And, it's kind of cool because everybody's kind of tracking their parts on their own. And then when we put it together, it's like, wow, this, there's a little unexpected. Yeah. and we kind of feed off each other. Like if Eric does something really cool, I might edit one of my guitar parts to go along with what he does, or what's happened on multiple songs. Steve will send me his drums, and I'm like, dude, that's got a little bit of a different feel here. I'm going to alter up what I do. I like this better. I'm going to move the vocal lines around a little bit or something. We all kind of inspire each other too, so that's really awesome.
And you mentioned you guys just got a new guitar player. What was that process like? I mean, was this somebody you knew? Did you hold on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny. In 20, we've always been really spread out. I'm in Pennsylvania, Dean's in Baltimore, Eric's in Michigan, Steve's in Phoenix, and Carlos was in Chihuahua, Mexico. So it made it a little difficult.
Yeah.
So 2019, I was actually headed out to a local place up here near Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. I live in about an hour away, and just to see a friend of mine's band. She's an amazing vocalist, and I'll just see any band she's in. She actually did a cameo on an earlier album of ours, Rebuilding the Ruins. But anyway,
Okay.
I get distracted. So when we went to see them, I noticed their guitar player was awesome. He was a great player, great stage, presence, and just he was the real deal on stage. So they invited me up to do, I think it was Heaven and Hell and the Trooper. And so I'm standing next to this guy, and I'm like, we're feeding off of each other. I'm like, this guy, there was something there.
Yeah, you could
something
feel it.
I couldn't. Yeah, there was something there, and I said I got to hang on to this guy just in case something happens. And then, sure enough, something happened, and here we are.
Well, I can't believe you guys. It's already been 30 minutes. Time to wrap it up for today. It was great catching up with you, Steve and Gordon. Like I said, I know I speak for Tom, but you guys are welcome back here anytime. We'll definitely have you back once the album drops and we get a chance to hear the complete album. So
absolutely.
This will probably be going up around maybe around May 29th. Once I have an exact date, I'll let you guys know. And please feel free to share it. But thanks for coming on today, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you guys so much, man.
Great to meet you, Tom.
Great meeting you guys. Good luck
man.
with your
right here, guys.
I'm sure it's gonna be great, man.
Take care, guys. Peace
Keep
out.
in touch.
All right.
Later,
Talk to you later.
Take care.
Hey, Damien here. If you like today's show, please be sure to subscribe by clicking the link in the lower right-hand corner or on our page. Thanks for tuning in.